And welcome everybody to today's Kineo office hours on the featured link block that we're talking about today. So my name is Alex Carrick. I am one of the platform consultants here at Kineo, working with Totara and helping and assisting with training and implementation. And today we're talking about the featured link block. So the featured link block, we have a pretty simple agenda. Basically, what is it, this new block, and why might you use it? How might you use it? And it should be a really quick and easy introduction to this new feature that was introduced in Totara 10. And it's something that I think there's been a lot of workarounds and a lot of solutions, but it's something that's going to give administrators a lot of leeway and a lot of ability to configure some great useful resources for their learners. So from the Totara help pages, this is the actual definition when you look into the documentation on what the featured links block is. And the emphasis in the middle paragraph there is mine. And that essentially the crux of why this is important and why we scheduled this office hours session is that the main design feature is the use of customizable image-based tiles. So instead of just a hyperlink, instead of something really basic that doesn't really catch the eye or might interrupt with some theming and coloring, it gives you a little bit more access to play with these. So now as to what this looks like. So I'm going to go to my demo page that I play around with. And what we're going to look at here is specifically, I'm going to look at this dashboard. So what I've done is I've created this featured link block here in the top. It is in the middle section. It can be on the sides and configured to how big you want it to be, which we'll see in a second. And essentially all of these are links out to different areas. And I put a couple different examples up here to show that you can just put a picture that you can upload. You can have a gallery of pictures that go through and cycle through at a certain time interval. You are allowed to put a certain title if you want that extra capability. You have the capability to link this directly to a course, program, or certification within Totara. And you'll see that this gives a solid background color tile. If you wanted more of an image that you wanted to upload for this, you would be able to still use the unique URL for that course, program, or certification and create a graphic like that. And also while playing around, I realized that the featured links block does support animated GIFs. So if you do have any of those handy or are interested in having some more moving pieces aside from just the carousel of pictures, you have that capability. So you'll see here we've got kind of a 3x1 or 3x2 array. When we go in and customize what this block looks like, turning on customization, going to configure, you'll see that you can put a title for the block, obviously featured links being the default. You can choose how big you want these tiles. So for example, we had them as medium before. If we put them to large, you'll see that that 3x2 now becomes a 3x2 now becomes a 2x3. And you can start making these different sizes. So for example, that was large. If we kick those to small, you'll see that they all fit in one row. We also have each of these configured as a square. You can change them as more of an upright rectangle. You can configure them as more of a landscape or sideways rectangle. And lastly, you can configure them as the full width of the box. So that's going to be whatever in whichever column, wherever you have this block set up, that is what it is going to take the shape of. So I'm going to, for the sake of conversation, put this back on where we had it before. You can also configure on whether or not you want the border around the block itself. And like most aspects of the system, you can decide where you want this block to appear, whether you want it visible, what region, and the weight. So once we do that, to show you how easy it is to add a link to your featured links block, is as simple as clicking Add Tile. So when you click Add Tile, we're going to go through just a quick rundown of the different settings that you can set. So tile type, so static is going to be your single photo, gallery is going to be the rotating photos, and then course, certification, and program are going to point you and take you through to select actual courses through your categories that you want to link them to. So for the sake of example, I'm going to go ahead and just say static. Position of tile is going to be within the featured links block itself. So whether you want it to be the first link in the block, the second link in the block, the third link in the block. URL is going to be exactly what it sounds like. That can go to an external site, or if you're looking for your local Totara site, you are able to use the local addresses as well to point to things like courses and programs and certifications, if that's what you desire. You can decide whether you want that link to open up in a new tab or not. If it's a resource from an external site, maybe you want that to open up in a new tab so that users are able to continue their course experience. And you can say whether you want your photo to fill the tile or fit inside the tile. And then from here, you can start adding your text on whether you want what your title of the link and description. Notice that these are not required. So from my example that had the multiple, I'll show you here in a second, that have the multiple photos here, what you're going to be asking is, if you have that title and description, do you want that taking up part of your real estate on your picture? So you could create your pictures and upload your pictures with that in mind, or you don't need to have them at all. And you can decide whether you want those on the top and bottom of the link, uploading what photo you want as part of your if you're uploading your image, there is, it's just as simple as uploading everything else. And I do see we have a question, and that's if it's a course certification or program, what will the image be? So that's an excellent question. What it becomes is it becomes just like this block here on the right. You can pick the background color, and you can, and I'll actually show you what this looks like on this block. So I set it, my course name is Introduction. You can say if it's a tracked course, program, or certification, whether or not you want to show that progress. So that's going to be the not tracked. But if you were enrolled in the course, it would give you your enrollment status. So that's why if you wanted more of an image as opposed to the direct, if you wanted an image in the background here, you could create just a regular static or gallery link and still link out to that same course page. The only functionality that would be lost would be the ability to track it within that shared link folder. That was a great question. So from here, let's see, we're at image. If you do not add a title or a description, you are required to put in alternate text, and that's just if for some reason there is an issue for accessibility reasons, you would have something there. And then this is where at a course, program, or certification, if you were going to select what color you wanted that to be, you've got your full range of color background. complete with red, green, blue functionality so that you could make sure that it matches your theme or your logo or your branding guidelines exactly. So if we wanted a nice, light Kineo green, we can hit OK there, and that would give us our background color. It probably helps if I fill all this out. You don't actually need to keep a real link there. And if we save changes, we've got our new featured link that we pasted there. So what we've done here is we've looked at the featured link block currently on a dashboard. So there's a few other places that you can add this block. And to add the block, just like adding any other block, whether it's here on a dashboard or anywhere else, simply by looking at the add a block, which is funny to say. When you go to add, there is the featured links block here, and that's what's going to allow you to add it. So this is a dashboard. So again, you could use that for different audiences. You can use it for different links, internal, external. You can also include the featured links block in a course. So if we go to, I'm going to look at my test course. Again, very much a test course. But you'll see that I've added my featured links block here in the right-hand column that has the same functionality as it did on the dashboard. The only difference is obviously the sizing, the location, and if you're going to decide that you want your images to span the whole width of the block, obviously the width of the block on the sides is different than the width of the block in the center. And one other interesting place that you can add your featured links blocks is actually to the profile page. So if there are, as you can see down here, you can add it to your profile page. So if there were links you wanted your users to have right off the bat, always at arm's reach, whether that's to an internal intranet, whether that's to maybe a SharePoint site, maybe it's to some other external file repositories, those common links that maybe you use fairly often, you'd be able to have those so that your users could have them at any point available to them. So those are the three main instances. I'm really excited to see how our clients and how people start using these blocks. I know there's been a lot of requests for this type of functionality to be a little bit more graphic, a little bit more user-friendly. So with that, that's pretty much the quick and dirty of the featured links block. If at any point you have really cool ideas or any questions, feel free to reach out to us here at Kineo, and Taylor and I can help with that. And if at any point, if you have any questions here, I will go ahead and stop the recording, and then I will hang around for questions and unmute the lines. So with that, I do want to thank you for attending today's session on the featured links block, and we look forward to seeing you in a future office hours session.